everybody. I'm Jordan Ostroff. Moshe, thank you so much for that wonderful intro. It is very true. Moshe and I shared many a 6 or 7 o'clock phone call with screaming kids in the background. So the presentation we have today is how to add the missing pieces from your marketing plan. This is, there we go. So a little bit about me. I started a law firm in 2015. The law firm still operates, thankfully. My wife does all the legal work, at least for the personal injury stuff, because she's fantastic. But basically, the beginning of it, we went into massive debt. Why? Because I didn't understand marketing. Figured out that was the issue, getting more cases and getting better cases. That was what we needed. So fixed those issues, started helping some other people locally. And then at the end of 2019, beginning of 2020, we launched Legalese Marketing. So for Legalese Marketing, we want to provide innovative marketing solutions to legal professionals so they can live their best lives. For us, it's not just about a solution, it's about the overall marketing plan of how you get in front of your ideal clients, and then also working on making sure you have a strong intake system to get those from leads, or sorry, a strong sales system, as Moshe calls it, to get those leads closed and make them into hiring clients. So today what we're talking about is the 5 most common marketing tactics, and in essence, how you can use those together or how you can add the next steps to what you're already doing in some of those marketing tactics. So the first one that we have is networking. We're talking lunch, coffee, golf, basically how your first boss got their cases. So the thing we have to understand about networking is COVID changed everything. Not that networking has gone away, but that it has changed. So some of the benefits of being focused on networking include sustainable long-term success. You're going to build genuine relationships with people, and therefore you're going to be able to set your firm up for long-term success. You don't have any technological updates to worry about, I guess barring a global pandemic that locks everybody in their house, at which point you've got to take some of the networking virtual. There's a low cost barrier to entry. It doesn't take anything to start networking money-wise. Maybe you'll pay for coffee, maybe you'll pay for lunch, but you don't have to. The downsides, though, is it's time consuming. It takes a lot of your time. It's you building those connections with people, which means it's not scalable. You only have so much time to meet new people. You only have so much time to build connections with people, and you only have so many options that you can build those connections. For example, if you're a family law attorney who gets most of your cases from criminal defense attorneys, you're not going to be able to generate enough business to send cases to 50 criminal defense attorneys. So it's not necessarily the most scalable. And of course, it requires consistency. I think this is what a lot of people have found during 2020. If you were heavy on networking, you found out that the consistency is a big thing. So when people dropped off and went back into their houses for 6 months, 8 months, 11 months, they didn't have those relationships. They weren't as top of mind. So a lot of people saw a huge dip in their referrals. So when we're talking about what to do now to take referrals to the next level, the biggest thing I can tell you, it starts with use an auto booker. Be able to send people a link that they can schedule themselves, or you can have it set up with your assistant and have them call and have your assistant set it up. Something where you don't need to constantly do that two-way scheduling. That's going to make it huge. Also, a lot of the auto bookers now will integrate with Google Meet or Zoom, so you can take that networking to the digital level. Start creating content that can feature your referral sources. Maybe it's an email newsletter. Maybe it's a Facebook live show or a podcast. Something that you'll be able to control, where even if you don't have referrals, even if you haven't connected with anybody new in quite a long time, you'd still be able to have the referral source on, have a chat, provide some content for them. Write blog posts on each other's websites or do a social media takeover. The blog posts will help from an SEO standpoint. Social media takeover will help from a social media standpoint. But ultimately, it's an easy way for you to show value to your referral sources and vice versa, even if you're down cases. Host a happy hour, Top Golf, coffee, something like that, and have your circle invite friends. I understand with everything going on in COVID, maybe this isn't the right opportunity for now, but when we get back to it, for example, if you've got a golf foursome, maybe you invite one person or two people and have them each invite somebody, and then you've got a foursome or a fivesome for Top Golf. Play guest bingo. This is one of the most fun things that we did before COVID. In essence, we would get about 5 referral sources together. We'd compile a bingo card. So you come up with 25 squares of what you're looking for guests. So for example, personal injury attorneys, maybe you want one of the squares to be that the person's a chiropractor or a doctor, something along those lines. Then you find a guest to bring, you get to fill out all the squares for them, and you can pick one other person's guest. And whoever gets the most bingos or the most squares wins some sort of prize. It's a really fun way to do it. You can actually do it virtually on Zoom now, but it's a really good idea to kind of target who you're getting connected to. So if you have a hole in your referral sources that you're looking for, maybe get together with a couple friends, put that as one of the squares on the bingo card, and try to get your people to invite ones that you already know. And then run ads to ideal referral sources to grow new connections. This is the biggest underutilized thing that we're seeing lately. People are talking about, how do you run ads or how do you get more clients? But if you're referral source heavy, if you're that estate planning attorney looking for people in their 60s with $3 million or more in assets, maybe you need to be running ads to financial advisors or business attorneys or family law attorneys who already have a connection with those clients you're getting in front of. And now you can use ads to grow your referral sources, makes it a little bit more scalable. So those are some ideas to take your networking to the next level and fill in that part of your marketing plan. So what about if your organic results? So for this, we're talking about SEO, the Maps pack, or Bing. Bing is still a thing. Although, funny aside, one of the top 10 most searched things on Bing is Google, which I think is really sad, but it's true. So if you're talking about from an SEO standpoint, you're going to be able to build long-term success from that SEO standpoint. You're not going to get cases overnight. You're not going to get things immediately, but it will help you build long-term success for your firm, assuming that something happens that doesn't change it, which we'll talk about in the negatives. So there's a ton of information and how-tos that are accessible to everybody on SEO. Somebody posted on one of the Facebook groups, and it was like one of those giant if this, then that things for SEO. And it was so in-depth because there's a ton that can be done and a ton of things that'll make a difference. For SEO at the beginning, there's low cost of entry. You can do some SEO yourself depending upon your keywords, depending upon your area. But the negative is it takes that time and consistency, whether it's you or somebody else. You're going to get algorithm updates all the time. The one thing I will say, most of the algorithm updates are designed to provide a better experience for a normal person. So to the extent that you're writing high quality blog posts, to the extent that you're providing great content for a real person, for your ideal client to enjoy and learn from, that should help you get through all the algorithms. Emphasis on should, and we could do easily 2 hours just on SEO. So I'm going to leave it at that. You also have high competition in most markets. We've got 3 non-ads on the Maps pack. You've got 7 to 10 non-ads on organic. And over time, Google and the other search engines want more ads so they make money, which makes less room for organic results. So you will have high competition in most markets. So for this one, we have 2 things to look at. On-site SEO, so things to do. Make sure you've got schema markups on all your pages. It's going to make them rank better. It's going to make them look nicer. Add titles, meta descriptions to all your pages. This also could help from an ADA compliance standpoint. One thing people don't do a lot is test your page speed. Consider if you a new website or hosting. A lot of times people will have a fantastic website that is optimized, but if it takes 2 minutes to load, you're not going to get the great results. So if you have Google Analytics, you can see how many people are on the page for a second or two, or that might mean that your page isn't running or isn't loading quickly enough. Connect your site with Google Search Console. Basically, Google will tell you what Google wants from you to rank better on Google. It's amazing how they operate that way, but ultimately they want you to use them. They want other people to use them, so they have things like this. Write those valuable blog posts like we talked about. Share them on social, share them on newsletters, link them back to your website. That's going to get more traffic. That's going to get more views. That could help from an SEO standpoint. Start a show or a podcast. So Facebook Live show, podcast, something along those lines. Pull the transcripts through Otter.ai or Rev. Post them with links on your website. Do links to the guest sites. Hopefully the guest will host a link on their website as well. Those are some things you can do on-site SEO to take them to the next level. But what I really want to focus on is the off-site SEO. So here are some things you can do not on your page. Post often on Google My Business. That's what's going to get you to show up in the Maps pack. It's very image heavy. It's not being used nearly as much as organic SEO is. So there's a lot more opportunity in that Google My Business. Get everyone at your company involved. If you go to steadydemand.com/localpicks, I get nothing from it. I just think they have a great platform. Basically, you can set 10 people to get text messages. They upload a picture. It goes right on your Google My Business. And then you can have your SEO person go in and do the right tagging, or your website person and do the right updates. But ultimately, you can get everybody at your firm putting content up there on the Google My Business page. Take images of happy client feedback, put those on Google My Business, put them on social media. I think that's something that attorneys really need to focus on, is showing people how great they are by highlighting the already amazing reviews that you're getting. And if you're not getting great reviews, there's a bunch of people that will talk about how to get reviews and how to get better stuff, but that's something to focus on. to help from an SEO standpoint is using those as images on Google My Business. Same thing for events. If you're doing that podcast or Facebook live show, create an event, add those to Google My Business. Have referral sources, guest write, collaborate on blog posts on each other's websites. Good way to show value there, build a relationship with referral sources, help from SEO. All these things, we're talking about how we merge them together to make a overall marketing plan. Solicit reviews, reply to all of your reviews, reply to all of them, even if they're bad, still reply to them. There was a thing that just came out from the ABA that basically told us you can't really say much, but thankfully the ABA is not what drives the boat. So check your state ethics rules, but reply to all of them. The more you reply to them, the more likely you are to get good reviews, the less likely you are to get bad reviews, because people will know that you are engaging with those reviews. Post often on YouTube, optimize all fields for video, throw those videos up on your website, put links to them, etc. And then the other thing that I don't see talked about is using your page score to get cheaper ads. If you're doing pay-per-click, basically there's some wiggle room that Google's going to give you that will allow them to show your ads for cheaper if you're giving a good user experience or good experience to the person searching or your ideal client. So part of your SEO strategy, if you're also doing pay-per-click, is going to be to get those page scores up, to get the cost per click down. That can add up really fast, really quickly in your benefit. So the next one, we're talking about email marketing. So this could be newsletters, this could be firm updates, anything along those lines where you don't want people to unsubscribe from it, right? I mean, that's what we're all searching for there. So from an email marketing, this is a great way to distribute your other content. So you can have your newsletter contain your blog posts, contain some of your social media highlights, any of the content you're doing, the live shows, the podcasts. You have minimal platform updates to worry about. Yes, MailChimp and Constant Contact and whatever will change somewhat, but ultimately email is email. We've just made them look better. Otherwise, for the most part, they're the same thing. It's a cost-effective communication. You know, you can get a MailChimp or Constant Contact account very cheap. And then as you start sending those emails, you know, you're not going to pay the same price per impression. You're just going to pay for the number of users that you have on the email. Negative, it requires list building. You have to actually get those emails to be able to market to people. And especially with a lot of our ethics rules, you can't just buy a list of people. You'd have to have a previously existing professional relationship, or you'd have to have it cleared by your bar through ethics, something along those lines. You're also a lot of the time going to have to create additional content for the newsletter, not just the newsletter itself, but making sure that you have a good amount of content inside of that newsletter to get people to read it. And of course, it requires consistency. The biggest problem I see people make with a newsletter is they make it about them as opposed to making it about their ideal client. It should be things that are helpful for your ideal client. It should be things that are valuable to them to the extent that you're talking about you. Honestly, our newsletter has gotten better results when I talk about a restaurant that I went to that I enjoyed, as opposed to when I talk about something involving our actual law firm or winning an award or something along those lines. So make sure you're making it of value to your readers. So some ways to take that to the next level: utilize those blog posts and videos in your newsletter to increase readership of content. So those videos are on YouTube or your website, blog posts are on your website or a blog, drive people from the newsletter to there. Run ads to that free lead to a free lead magnet in exchange for emails. For example, estate planning attorneys. Maybe you want to put together the 25 things to make sure your estate plan has, or divorce attorneys, maybe 7 things to think about when it comes to divorcing if you have children, something along those lines. Send that out for free, but in exchange for an email, have somebody opt in to be able to get your email newsletter from there and help build that list. Start a podcast, live show, share those recent episodes in the newsletter. This one comes up a lot. Collaborate with your referral sources for interviews and articles for the newsletter. So at the point that you have referral sources that overlap dealing with the same clients, so financial advisors and estate planners, this is great. Maybe you can write an article for the financial advisor that talks about the legal side of some of the stuff that they're doing. They can write some stuff about, updates on the market, stuff going on with, GameStop and AMC and Robinhood. Maybe that's of interest to your clients. If so, that's a good way to build some content for your newsletter, your email marketing, as well as building a relationship with some already existing referral sources. Host events for only newsletter subscribers and their guests. Again, this may not be a COVID thing. If it is, maybe it's virtual. Maybe you have a chef come on or a bartender and show people how to make a couple of drinks, and only do that for your newsletter subscribers. A tip on here: resend the email to people that don't open it with a different headline. So 24 hours, 48 hours later, You should be able to pull information on who has opened your newsletter and who hasn't. The people that haven't, send them a new one with a different subject matter, see if people open it from there. And please, please, please make sure you integrate it into your CRM. We're seeing a lot of stuff that's going to come out with Apple limiting some of the privacy abilities to target people. I'm not sure exactly how that's going to play out, but it'll be very interesting to see where that goes. The more you have those emails in your CRM, the more you can email those people at scale, the more you can stay in touch with them, the easier it's going to be for you to get in front of people around any sort of change to the algorithm, privacy settings, whatever it is along those lines. So that was email. Let's talk about social media. So Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, Twitter, Pinterest, Quora, Reddit, and a bunch of places that your little cousin thinks are cool. So for social media, I'm a huge fan of it because it's a low cost of entry. You can start a Facebook page, you can start a LinkedIn account. In all these cases, the user is the product. So for the most part, it's going to be free on pretty much all of them because they want people on the platform, because the user is the product, because the data they're collecting is how they're going to get paid with good ads. So social media helps you build a great brand. It helps you create those raving fans, that herd, whatever you're going to call them. And it's a great way to interact with your audience in real time at scale. A lot of times when we see why attorneys get bar complaints or get bad reviews, it's because they're not contactable. So a lot of times having a good social media presence where a client can go to event or at least get in touch with somebody at the firm is some way for you to build a better relationship and give them a better experience. The negative of social media, it's not always going to produce direct ROI. Sometimes that's going to be the hardest part of social media. Sometimes it may not give you a direct ROI, but for example, you might get a referral from somebody that you haven't talked to in 5 or 6 years. Well, how'd you stay top of mind? Probably because they saw you on social media, maybe because they got an email from you, something along those lines. The platforms are going to be very time consuming and the content can be super expensive. So each platform is going to have things a little bit different. There's a number of programs like Hootsuite or Buffer that you can do to post on multiple platforms. But the more that you are creating content designed for social media, the more expensive it gets if it's done right, because ultimately you're coming up with the right idea, you're creating the asset, you're posting it with the right hashtags, you're engaging with the responses, and then you're tracking everything to make sure that it's helpful. So that adds up super fast. And it requires engagement and consistency. And engagement, seriously, engagement has to happen in both directions. If people take the time to comment on your firm's post, you better take the time or have somebody take the time to go in and respond to those and keep that conversation going. It will help you get more reach. It will help more people see your stuff, but also it will help you build a better relationship with clients. So how do we take social media to the next level? Feature great referral sources in your social media posts. Give shout outs for referral sources that have had some wonderful things happen, or if they sent a gift or something over, share that, tag them. It'll give you something to post. It'll give a nice shout out to your referral source. It will help them. Utilize blog articles or other promotional assets as posts. This will help from an SEO standpoint. This will help from a social media standpoint. Create communities or groups for not just your ideal clients, but also your referral sources. Facebook is huge on this. It is huge on this. So if you get your best cases from chiropractors, maybe put together a Facebook group for chiropractors and just fill it up with valuable information for them. What do they need to know? What do they need to be aware of? What are some of the things they may not be thinking about, especially from the attorney perspective? Get involved in non-traditional platforms, not just Facebook and LinkedIn, TikTok. I know Mark talked about that a little bit, Reddit, Quora, other ones like that. Search relevant hashtags. Make sure you're in the right conversations. Remember, the platforms want you to stay on the platform by interacting with other people on the platform. So most of them have designed hashtags or some way for you to get involved in the right conversation. So make sure that your posts are going there to the extent that they can. Make sure you're engaging with other posts and thought leaders in those conversations. That's how you're going to build that following, that brand, that reputation. Create audiences from social media, which will make it easier for you to boost posts, or I should say target posts, to the audiences that you're already interacting with. So now you can schedule those apps. You can create a content calendar. There's a lot of ways to do this at scale. For example, you can create almost the same post and post it on Facebook one day, post it on LinkedIn the following week, post it on Twitter 2 days after that, something along those lines. We'll talk about that in a little bit more detail. And utilize UTM codes on your post to increase that tracking. Again, really hard to get direct ROI from social media, but UTM codes will be super helpful with that. In essence, you are giving like an extra bit of the URL that will tell Google Analytics or whatnot where it came from. And after this conference, we're going to be doing something on some of the ways to track and follow through on those things, because ultimately the more you know that your money is working correctly and that you're spending your time correctly to grow your firm, the better you're going to feel about all of it. So the last one we're going to talk about is advertising. So billboards, pay-per-click, Spotify, Hulu ads, whatever it is, the things that Don Draper would hopefully approve of. So for here, this is how you're going to get cases quickly. In theory, I mean, we have put on Google ads that a client has got a case the same day. That's not necessarily going to happen on SEO. I'm sure there's some great story that somebody might share, but it just doesn't happen that quickly. Ads are scalable with the proper processes. The more you spend, the more you should make, as long as you have the right thing backing it. You can provide a personalized user experience with ads, obviously not with billboards, but with a lot of those social media ads. We'll talk about this in retargeting when we go to take it to the next step. The negative for ads, high cost of entry. You are paying for those impressions. You are paying to be seen. You are paying for that billboard. You're paying for that ad, whatever it is along those lines. You're going to have to constantly optimize a lot of your ads, and there's going to be platform updates you're going to have to worry about. For example, anybody who was targeting people from like a title standpoint, they passed a law, Facebook changed how you can target people when it comes to a lot of the real estate stuff. So you have to be aware of those things, and you want to constantly work to make sure that you're getting a better and better ROI on all of your ads, because they can get super expensive. And ultimately, the more competitors you have, the more expensive it's going to be. On pay-per-click, Google, Facebook, it's literally going to work that way, because in essence, it's like an auction house and you'll have everybody placing their bids. But even on a billboard, if 1 million people want that billboard, they're going to charge a lot more for that one. So more competitors equals more expensive. So how do we take it to the next level? Create really valuable lead magnets for data collection through social campaigns. Really valuable ones that your clients actually want to read, that they want to save, that they want to engage with. Maximize your retargeting and remarketing ads for personalization. So for example, if somebody goes to your website and they read 2 of your blog posts, but they don't book a consult, then retarget them with other blog posts to get them back to that page. But at the same time, if somebody already booked a call for you, then maybe don't market them back to your website. Maybe send them something or market them information about why you're the right fit and they should hire you. And you can do those with pixels and retargeting ads. Take advantage of all placement types on platforms. There's a bunch of different ads that you can do on different platforms. That's going to change where you show up, how you show up, the goals of it, especially on Facebook. Facebook has a bunch of different things that it will help you do, getting likes on your page, getting leads, booking calls, whatever it is. Utilize UTM and call tracking on your ads. Like I said, you want to make sure that you are tracking these to make sure you're not just throwing money out the window. Search ads should utilize pages on your website, unless you're going to send them directly to some sort of funnel. Get them back to your website, and that way you can use that pixel. You can track them in a bunch of different ways. Again, we talked about this at the beginning. Run ads to find referral sources, not just clients. That's a way to help you scale referral sources in some manner. And of course, make sure to consider all aspects of the advertising funnel. I think we see this all the time. Lawyer gets a nice big settlement, or they get new to the market, up comes a couple billboards. 6 months later, billboards go down, never to be seen again. Why? Because they didn't have the right system in place. So they spent a bunch of money on billboards, print, radio, TV, the big awareness ones that a bunch of people will see, and not on the ones that were more intent-based, search ads, retargeting ads, etc. So I'm not hammering billboards. I just think those need to be like the cherry on top of an already great sundae, as opposed to the first part of your marketing plan. So look, here's the thing. Don't do everything. Don't do everything. Don't do everything. Do less, but do it better. Make it about your client. Where is your ideal client going to be? What platforms are they going to be on? How are they going to find you? The more you know that, the easier it is for you to make yourself in the right place. So if you can get close to doing everything, if you do have a wide variance of clients where you can be almost everywhere, here's sort of an overarching plan. And for the most part, this is what we're doing with Legalese Marketing. So in essence, we've got a website, it's optimized, it's connected to our CRM. I won't name drop them, but hypothetically, they also sponsor this, and it rhymes with Automatics. You build out your intake and your automations in that CRM. That's going to help you get those leads to converted clients at scale. And I really think you follow this numbering system, because before you're driving all the clients there, you want to make sure you have the right system in place to get them to hire, because ultimately a lead is pointless. A hired client is where you're going to make money and see more success. So then create a live show or a podcast, brand it, feature referral sources, thought leaders. That's what we have with our Exhibit A Attorney show. And like you heard from Mark, who spoke right before me, they've got GNGF TV. So a lot of people are doing this because it's a great way to help create content and build relationships. So you do promotional posts for those and events for those before the event. So when is it going to happen? Here's a post, here's an event about it. Then after the show, you strip the audio and you create that into a podcast. You pull that and you get it transcribed for your website through Otter or Rev, something along those lines. Then you add all those assets to a website page. So you've got the transcript, you've got the audio, you've got the video, you've got the links. Then you cut up clips of the episodes and you schedule those on social media. So now that live show that was on social media, maybe it started on Facebook, now you've got 30 and 60-second clips to go ahead and put on social media. Remember, automate a way to send the promo material to your guests for them to promote as well. You are building relationships with referral sources. You are ecosystem merging here. So make sure that they get this information for them to post just as much as you are posting this information. That's going to help them the most because they'll get the most people to their show. It's going to help you the most because they're going to get the most people to their show. So make sure you have a system in place to have this information going out in both directions. So from there, create a content calendar for months ahead to organize your content. I really wish I could recommend a program for you that would merge a content calendar with like a Hootsuite or Buffer. I'm unaware of them existing. If there is one, please let me know because I think that would be the ultimate way to do this at scale. Then write weekly blog posts on relevant topics, add those to your website. A lot of times you can pull those off of conversations you had in that podcast or live show and just expand upon some of the concepts that came up in the show. Schedule those blog articles to post, for example, on a Monday. Then once those go out, you record a short video, schedule that for Wednesday, link that back to the blog article, create graphics that highlight topics from the blog. Go ahead and post those graphics on Friday. So now in essence, the same concept has showed up on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, or three things. One of the things that I would really highlight would be maybe client reviews. So if you do a post on Monday that's about getting the max value in car accident cases, you shoot a short video about it, then maybe you share a happy client review where they were explaining how great of a job you did when it came to that case. So now you've got the social proof of somebody you've actually helped, linking back to the blog post, linking back to social media. So use your saved audiences to boost the right posts or target the right posts from there. Then create a lead magnet, run Facebook ads to the lead magnet to get more ideal clients into your network, into your orbit, into your newsletter, into your shows, etc. And then use that list to send emails, include those articles and episodes. So basically people will see ads to the shows, they'll watch the shows, they can sign up for the lead magnet, they'll see ads to the lead magnet, they'll sign up, you'll get their email, you can put them in a newsletter that then sends them the other episodes. It's amazing how much you can get done the more you make all of this connect and link together. So in the last couple minutes, here's the question. Where do you go from here? I really want to reiterate, don't do everything. Don't do everything. Don't do everything. You have to think about your ideal client. Where are they going to go? Are they going to search on Google? Are they going to go on Facebook? Are they going to be on Facebook and happen to see you and have you explain to them why they need your services? What's going to be the journey of your true ideal client, the one you want to work with, and then build your marketing plan around that. So I always look at it as there's 3 stages to your marketing plan. It's what you are going to do yourself, and that could be nothing, and that could be everything. Then it's going to be what your team is going to do, and that could be nothing, and that could be everything. And then it's what are you going to outsource, and that could be nothing, and that could be everything. So for example, maybe you're going to commit to posting on your Facebook once a week about your business. Maybe you're going to commit to writing a blog article for your company once a month. Maybe you're going to commit to 2 LinkedIn posts a week. Then you're going to have someone on your team who might create an image, a graphic, a video, a carousel, something along those lines to support those efforts. And then you might outsource the overall SEO and ideation to a larger company so that they can help you come up with scripts or overarching ideas to help you through all this. That's really what you have to think about is what are you going to do that's going to appeal to your ideal client based upon your efforts, your firm's efforts, and outsourcing the rest of it. And again, seriously, do not do everything. You are better off doing a better job on fewer platforms and spending more money on fewer ad platforms because it will be easier for you to see what's working and what's not and make those tweaks and change. If you dabble everywhere, it's going to take you so long to have enough information to be able to make those changes. So the biggest thing I can tell you is also consider what you're going to enjoy doing. Are you going to enjoy going to lunch with people? Are you going to enjoy engaging with people on LinkedIn? Are you going to like making videos? also have that factor in, but ultimately balance it around what your ideal client is going to do. How are they going to find you? How are they going to search? And so if you're looking for more information, here's our contact information. We also have a booth over here. And if you join us on Thursday for our breakout session, we're going to be talking about how do you double your close rate automatically. We're going to walk you through a sample intake system and how you expand that out for your firm to provide the right information to your clients to give you the maximum value. So once again, I am Jordan Ostroff with Legalese Marketing. Thank you all so much for being here. And thank you, Moshe, for having me.